You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online occasionally, anyway. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith. I hope you're well. The interview subject I have coming up for you is from a British band, God, I'll get it out, called Devil Sold His Soul. His name is Jozef Norocky. Now, Joseph, if you're listening, I apologise if I've butchered the pronunciation of your surname there. Now, the reason for the conversation with Jozef is because the group have a new album out. It's their debut for Nuclear Blast. It's already out. It was released on the 9th of April, and it's called Loss. Now, I open the conversation here by talking to Jozef about the nature of clickbait websites. You know the ones, Blabbermouth, Metal Injection, that sort of thing. But I didn't press record on Zoom, so I only get half of the conversation. But it's still, worthy banter, as I like to say. So I've left it in there. Just thought I'd give you the heads up if you're wondering why the audio cuts in mid-sentence or thereabouts. There's your reason. Anyway, here he is, Jozef Norocky from the British band Devil Sold His Soul. A lot of metal fans tend to be very similar to the women who read those tabloid magazines. They're interested in the gossip, and not the nitty gritty. And I've got to be honest with you, the numbers reflect that. With Blabbermouth and the other news aggregation sites, if it's controversial, some band member talking shit about another band member, they're all over it. If it's something positive like this great bass line you've just written or something like that, which I'm personally interested in, it barely gets a click.
I don't know. That's the media these days. It's just people desperate for clicks. I mean, the big boys. They're just fighting each other for the big clicks, aren't they? So.
How do you guys find it on that front? Because you've got a pretty good album here that should be able to cut through, but it is very difficult to cut through, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what could I say about it? I mean, we did pretty good. It's the first time we charted. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, but we got. I think we got to number 2 in the metal and rock chart in the UK, which is
cool,
surreal for us. Obviously, that the numbers aren't what they would have been 10 years ago, but it gives us an opportunity to chart, and so it's still a vindication of what we've done. I think we're pretty happy with whatever comes. We've managed to up the game for ourselves, so that's what we can ask for, really.
Yeah. Do you reckon this album's a concept album for you guys? Would you describe it as something similar to that? Because, with the title being Lost, it's a very singular and identifiable title that I think every single person that's lived through the coronavirus lockdowns can relate to.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing is that I said this in another interview, but it's just like almost eerie timing. Because, I mean, people who listen to us know that we have a sort of melancholy vibe to the music, and always have. So I don't know if you'd call it a concept album, but it's definitely a theme, a strong theme. I don't think it was ever intentional, but there was an event that happened a couple of years ago when we started writing the album, which has been mentioned in other interviews. But so one of our members' mums died, sort of super suddenly over like a Boxing Day or something, like really shocking. Obviously, it affected everyone pretty deeply, having been in a band together for so long and still being pretty young, where that kind of thing doesn't really happen. So that happened really early on in the writing process, maybe 3 years ago. And so I wouldn't say it's a concept album, but it's definitely the theme, and in some ways, I suppose it was on purpose. So, what else can you write about when something that big is just there?
It's all pervasive, isn't it? Something like that.
Exactly, and just there's so many facets to it, and so many feelings, and over time the feelings change, and you feel different ways, and denial and anger and sadness, and sort of like a hope, or taking some joy in good memories, which you can do later on and not so much earlier on. And So yeah, there's so much ground to cover that I think that's probably the best way to summarize it.
Did you have the album recorded as in tracked and in the can prior to COVID-19?
Because last year was so crazy, I find it really hard to remember what we did when. But so last year, I remember I'm pretty sure it was around April that the guys went back in to do the vocals, which means that, and I remember it was November 19 that I think that I was recording. So the drums would have been around August 19. So I think that, and I remember it was snowing when we were writing. So that would have been the winter of 18, 19.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that pretty much answers it. We kind of started in the summer of 19, and we had that break because of the first lockdown, which was in March here last year. And then the singers got in and did all the vocals, and then it was sort of mixed and mastered in the summer last year.
Yeah. So did are you with Sharptone or with Nuclear Blast? Or it's Sharptone, isn't it, with you guys?
Nuclear Blast put it back on
Nuclear Blast. Okay, there you go. What were their thoughts on the release date? Were you caught up in the run of bands that had things that were ready and due to be released throughout? You know, nobody had a crystal ball, so we didn't know COVID was going to happen. So were you caught up in that?
Yeah, I mean, the way I remember it is that we were talking with some labels and trying to decide what was best for us. And Nathan Barley, who's over at Nuclear Blast, and he's the person who basically ran Basic Records, which put out Belong Betray. So we've known him a long time, and he was like, "Look, I want to put this out with Nuclear Blast. Hold on for a while," and he sorted that out for us with Nuclear Blast, getting us a deal that would make everyone happy. And then I believe it was them that actually decided on the release date being April this year. So we were sitting on it for 6, 7, maybe more months. I mean, I didn't actually listen to it because obviously when you're writing and recording, you hear the stuff so much. I remember when we got the masters back end of last summer or autumn, I just deleted it off my phone. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not listening to it now. And I didn't listen to it basically until it was released, till I got my own copy, because I knew it was going to be a long time, and I didn't want to be sick of it. Or you know how it is. Just didn't want to over listen to it. So
I do, yeah.
But they suggested the release day, and we were happy with it. You know, we know they know what they're doing, so it's all good for us.
Yeah. That's an interesting point you raised there about you live with an album for so long, particularly when you're writing it. Then you get through the mixing and all the various arguments, not arguments, but the argy-bargy that happens around, especially being a bassist, I've got to say.
Yeah.
And did you find that, though, with the mixing side of things, that there was the temptation from some of the band members potentially, or the mixing engineer, to maybe not have the bass as prominent as you wanted it?
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if you know or not, but I'm not really a bassist. I'm a guitarist who just plays bass in this band.
Oh, right. Okay. There you go.
I was in a couple of other bands before playing guitar. And it was my old band. It was a band called Renoa, which was like a kind of proggy hardcore band. Actually, Johnny produced our album 2010, and that did really well. But we ended up splitting up for like personnel reasons, not personal reasons, but personnel reasons. And having toured with Devil in 2008, I think we were their support. And so when Ian left, they said, "Oh, do you want to? We know you. We assume you can play bass. You play guitar. Do you want to play bass?" So that's how I ended up playing bass. But I don't consider myself a bassist. I don't. Not to insult you, obviously. I knew you were hoping probably for a nice bass chat, bass to bass, but really, yes, it's guitar. But I I keep it real easy with bass stuff. I don't even write the bass lines not properly until the studio.
Yep.
So I'm not super precious about it. There are a few bass lines on the album that I really like, particularly on Witness Marks, which was kind of written, which has got quite a lot of runs.
Yeah.
And that was written in when we were writing the song. And I was like, oh, this is actually bass. This is actually a bass line, not just a guitarist playing bass.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty fun. But I've never had any sort of crossed word with anyone about how loud the bass should be. They know how loud it should be. It should be just right.
Yeah. No, I did one session once, and I probably some of the best bass lines I'd ever written. And the studio felt good, got the CD back, because you tend to walk away and get on with your life and go back to your day job and your wife and all the rest of it. And a couple of months later, get the CD, and I'm listening to it and going, "Am I even on this?"
Oh no.
But it's so common for bass to be buried. But it's I've got the issue. I've got the opposite issue to you, in that I'm a bassist who plays guitar. But I haven't done a lot of recording in a long time, mate. Actually, it's just not something I like doing these days. I just don't have the time to sort of commit to it. And I had the first band reach out to me in years and ask me to not join but audition, which was with the view to joining. But no, I'm 43 these days, mate. I've got 2 kids. I can't do anything like that anymore. It's just those days are gone. I'm glad I did it back in the day. But
Yeah.
but for you as well, and for the band. So I'll flip it back to you guys. But the touring side of things, I'm somewhat familiar with the horrendous lockdowns that you guys are going through over there. Is there any light in the horizon on that front with the EU and the restrictions and the like with movement, that you can tour sometime soon?
Well, EU wise, I really haven't got a clue. I'm not from the UK myself. My family all lives in Europe, and I spent a lot of last year kind of worrying and wondering about how I'm going to get to Europe to see my family. And it got to the point where I just couldn't watch the news anymore. I couldn't look it up anymore. I couldn't find out who was on the green list, who's on the red list, how long you got quarantined for. All this, I just couldn't stand it. So I personally have just kind of I've stopped checking until I can find out properly, until there's like an announcement. Speculating. So in that same regards, I don't think the band has really considered what's going to happen with Europe, just because no one knows, and there's just it's all so up in the air. We got some lists that of countries we can go to, and they're like the Faroe Islands and Grenada and Fiji and Australia. I think it's not really that helpful for us. So
yeah,
I don't think we've really even spoken about it. I mean, first of all, we just like to play some shows in the UK.
Can you do that though? Is that an option for you guys at the moment in the UK?
I think there's supposed to be some stuff in the summer, some bands and some festivals rather. I haven't seen any tours in the summer, but I've seen a couple of festivals. But I've also heard that some events are being cancelled already because of insurance, because the producers of the shows can't get, or the promoters, but producers, if you're talking theatre, can't get the insurance, and so they're already giving up. But we're looking at next year for touring, the UK at least. And I know, I think got one of my good friends is Josh Middleton, who's in Silosis and Architects. And I see today that Silosis seem to be playing a festival this year, but I know that Architects aren't doing anything till next year. So it depends on the band as well. Depends on what their individual plans are. But I think we're just looking at next year, to be honest.
Yeah, it's probably the best strategy. Yeah, I know that's us being a continent here, we just locked down the flights. Of course, the government has done that, which means that the rates of infection have been contained to virtual zero, literally zero. I think at the moment is where we're sitting. So that means that the politics of it aside, to be honest with you, it still means that we can play gigs and perform and the like. I did my first the other night, Saturday night, for example, and It's nice to be able to get into it, I've got to say. You'll know what I mean once you're up there on stage. It's very strange, particularly as you're a career musician, to have not played for 12 months live. It's an odd feeling when you get back up on stage there. It's like becoming reacquainted with something. And
Mm.
the big thing, mate, was the muscle memory.
Okay.
It's all there still. Okay. Yeah, and I was very concerned about that because I did a couple of runs through I played covers, so about 70 odd songs. But and I thought, am I going to be able to pull this off on the night? And you do, because that's just what we do as musicians.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's good to hear. That's giving me a bit of good, a bit of a good vibe about it. I mean, my main worry is my back. My back's been killing me, so maybe that's just too much head banging when I was younger, more like body banging. The whole back's gone, but yeah, that honestly, that's the thing that's worrying me, like getting back on stage and like being able to move like I used to. But
yeah,
I have to do something about it, and
yeah, just turn into Mick Mars and pretend you're a statue. Mick Mars has got that issue with his back. He can't move. Yeah, that's it. Just stands there. Hey, just talking about the album again. Probably my favourite cut from it is "Burdened."
okay.
Which I felt had a bit of a blackish metal feel to it. Do you
Yeah.
think that was intentional?
Well, in a sense, I mean, I've myself and probably maybe Ed, we both like sort of some versions of black metal. Probably for me, it's more more the metal side, Dimmu Borgir and Cradle Filth, and actual black metal. Well, okay, actual. Yeah, let's not get into that, but like more popular black metal. And then everyone likes a bit of Death Heaven, don't they? So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. So I remember even 6-7 years ago, that night that we met Barley about putting out the basic, the Long Betray on Basic. I remember talking to Lex about like, I really want like a blast beat of some description in a song, because for people who followed us from the start, we've been really slow and really like halftime sort of beats, and each progressive release has had like songs that are like progressively faster drum beat wise. So there's like more of a punk beat on Empire of Light. That's 3 albums in. That was the first one. So I remember when we did that, we were like, we're going to do like a punk beat. What's people going to say about this? We were pretty worried about it, but that went over fine. And so it's like, well, what do you do next? You got to do some kind of blast beat, I guess, just try and get a bit faster. And we never had a song that really suited that. And then we had this. We ended up with "Burdened," which is quite a simple song. Really, it's just a chord progression, and then it's got like this low breakdown sort of riff. But when we started playing that, we just thought, this is perfect for that drum beat that we were looking to match with something like that fast beat. So yeah, it's something that we were looking to try out in a song, and as soon as we came across that chord progression in that song, it's just like marriage made in heaven. And then
it makes
the black metal fans in the band pretty happy, I think.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear that you've embraced a lot of that, actually, because it sounds like the band is. I love the T-shirt you've got on, by the way, Kublai Khan TX. A great band that released amazing. A couple of years ago. Incredible release, but not a lot of people knew it. Knew it was out there. I don't think not a lot of people know about the band, I should say, but they're one of the most crushing hardcore bands I've ever heard. Well, you got good taste in music, yeah. So, what do you guys do when you're sitting around and you're writing material? Do you? Because that's a very good description you just gave to me, where you said you wanted some blast beats in there. So there's obviously a lot of intention when you bring in techniques and styles into the songwriting.
Yeah, I would say it's half and half. It's we will never get away from the devil sound, because that is just what I mean. It sounds so cliched, but that is what comes out of everyone, and that's always the channel. That's just where it ends up. It's either like melancholy sad or melancholy happy. You know what I mean? It's never like happy. So we always know what's going to sound, what the sound of devil is, and what feels like us. But then we do, obviously, being a band that's done 3 or 4 albums, we want to try some stuff out. If it's a faster beat, or if it's so, for example, in Burden, the low riff is what's those pedals called? The pitch pedal.
Pitch shifter, the pitch shifter pedal, yeah.
On the guitars for that low riff.
Yeah.
So there's always like bringing in new ideas and stuff, just sprinkling something to keep the technical side of it interesting for us. Whereas the artistic side of it is always interesting to us, but just keeping those like new ideas and sprinkling them in. So I would say it's a bit of technical fun and a little bit of sort of artistic direction that we know is going to be there. You see what I mean?
What do you listen to in your spare time?
Well, I actually don't listen to music in the house, just because I just don't. But
you make so much of it.
Yeah, maybe. But it's mainly for me. It's mainly gym music. So Kublai Khan, Despised Icon, Cannibal Corpse, stuff like that. Really, just heavy, mostly just heavy, brutal stuff. And I let the other guys listen to the other stuff.
You mentioned you were from Europe earlier, so I'm going to make an assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong, and apologies if I am. If it's one of those things like Kiwis don't like being called Australians, and vice versa, to be honest. But are you from Poland originally?
Slovakia, actually.
Slovakia.
That's a very decent guess. That's not offensive at all.
Okay, rightio. What drew you to the UK? Was it education or something else?
Oh, no, I came over when I was younger, so it was a family move.
Okay.
Moved over with the family and grew up here, and then family effed off back to Europe and left me here. No, my life is here. Yeah, well, my life is here for the time being, anyway, so it's fine. But Slovakia originally. In fact, I just had which was very nice for me, especially being a bassist. When I was growing up, we used to live near a train station, and I'd always see this magazine called Rock Hard.
Yeah.
You know Rock Hard?
Yeah, German, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, German mag. And there's there's a Czechoslovakian edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had my own interview in it this month for the Czech Slovak edition. So
awesome.
That was really cool for me, because obviously they were asking me about, how did you end up in the UK? How did you end up, playing guitar, playing bass, and blah, blah, blah. And it was just so cool. Like, I didn't tell my dad or my mum about it until it was actually out. And then I said, oh, you should go down the shop and go down to the station and have a look at page 60 in Rock Hard magazine. And yeah, they were texting me today saying they're really, really pleased. And it's just a nice little milestone for me personally.
That's funny. I shared a milestone, and now you've got one too. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, but they're the moments that matter, aren't they? I don't look. My family couldn't have given a shit about my musical pursuits, but it sounds like as though your family are very supportive.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I only listen to like super heavy stuff now because of, as I say, it's just gym music, so I love it. But like, that's the only place I really listen to it. But growing up, I was listening to music all the time. Like my dad is a big time record dealer in Slovakia, and he used to come over and do record fairs in the UK and stuff when I was a kid. So I used to go to record fairs in Bristol, London, Birmingham, all big record fairs, just thousands of vinyls, thousands of CDs, always buying CDs. So listening to the Beatles, my dad played me Foo Fighters when I was 11, first album. And he was always wearing like a Offspring Smash t-shirt and stuff. So like I got into music through him and through my mum. And they bought me my first guitars, obviously, and they always supported it 100%. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, how many great guitarists, bassists, drummers, that sort of thing have been lost to history from the perspective that they had the God-given talent, but the parents just went, you're not playing the guitar or the bass. That's garbage. Put it down.
Yeah.
I mean, that was virtually what happened to me. I think I was told to turn it down and turn it off so often that this is well before, this is in the 90s. So there wasn't you basically had to listen to headphones or just turn the bloody thing down and just sort of put your head next to the amplifier to keep going.
Yeah, no computers. Same with me. I had a little Marshall Park amp in my bedroom and just like learning cold chamber riffs and corn riffs and stuff. That's how I learned to play guitar.
Yeah, I've just written a book actually where I talk about that sort of stuff, how well before computers came along and we had Scarlett interfaces or whatever it might be and access to Pro Tools or even understood how to use Audacity properly, that you had to sit there with headphones like this and basically turn your amp up loud enough so that you could hear yourself playing over the top of the music that you were trying to copy. But it made you a better musician, I feel. I think that's the platform that now I give me enough time. I'm not saying I can learn everything, but most of what I do learn is by ear. And I think I do put the foundation that I have. I would have probably learned how to do it anyway. But do you find that gave you a great foundation to have a good musical ear?
Well, I don't know how much credit I'll give myself as a musician. Really, like I don't come from it. I don't come at it from a very technical place. I don't count myself as a great guitarist or a great bassist or anything. I love it more for the feeling and the energy and the catharsis and the notes and the music and the feeling more so than I never really sat down and punished myself. I'm not saying that you did, but I never really punished myself for like 5 hours trying to learn stuff. It just wasn't. This wasn't in me. I wish I did because, knowing someone like Josh in Solosis and Architects, since we were like 18 or something, he was at home all the time playing guitar, and he knew all his like Egyptian scales, and he wrote them down for me to like learn. I was like, yeah, I'm probably just going to go to the pub instead.
I would too, actually, on that point.
So
I would as well on that point. My God, yeah. That stuff, all the modes and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I bet he knows it all, and obviously now he's reaping the rewards. So maybe I should have listened to him, but I didn't. But yeah, just as a teenager, it was more, I want to learn how to play, Foo Fighters songs and Korn songs, and I was just tuning up and tuning down, constantly playing, like listening by ear, just learning how to play songs. I never, maybe you could say I never took it seriously enough, but I've been happy with the output I've had with bands. So the album, I'm proud of everything I've done. So.
Well, it's worked for you because you're a career musician, man, and that's God. I mean, you're doing it. You've done it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no regrets. Oh, okay, maybe I've got a tiny regret. Maybe a tiny bit better on guitar. Yeah, listening to Josh, but no, that's fine. I'm happy.
We've all got that. We've all got musicians' envy. Don't worry about that. That's just a normal part of it. I'm sure Al Di Meola has musicians' envy too when he listens to someone like Joe Passamento or someone like that. It's just a natural part of being a human, I think that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always someone better than you, especially if you don't practice as much as you should. But that's fine.
Hey, I'll make this my final question for you then.
Okay.
Just because I'm Australian and we're based here. Have you had a lot of feedback from Australian fans over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'd say a lot. I don't really pay attention to where people are from, but I've certainly seen comments of people in Australia saying, please come to Oz. Same as any other country, Canada and the US. I mean, the US is pretty big for us. Surprisingly, we've never been there. I don't even know if, presumably our album's out over there. It must be on Nuclear Blast, so it must be. And Century Media must have put our album out a couple of albums ago. But yeah, I mean, listen, we have done what we would expect to have done in the UK, I suppose, in terms of our size and our popularity, because it's a small country. You can't tour it, for months and make a shitload of money and shitloads of fans. We'd like to visit abroad. We went to Japan a couple of years ago, 2018, for the first time ever, and that was like sensational for us. When you're sitting in the park in the middle of Tokyo, and you're like, we're here because of the riffs, you just think this is crazy. Yeah. And so obviously that's kind of what we want to build on. Getting in the charts in the UK was really good, something that we hadn't expected. But if we can push abroad, push to Australia, push to Canada, push to the States, that would be just insane for us, I think. It's one thing to keep putting out albums, but it's the stuff you remember as well is all those little experiences you get from going to countries you've not been to before. So I know that's what we really want to do.
That's awesome. Well, you can't do anything any more than what you guys are doing with the band and with the album to achieve that.
No, no, it's just a case of a promoter and someone who's maybe willing to put us on as support or something over in Australia. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see.
Well, once the I like what you're talking about with the festivals firing up again. And 2022 seems to be when things are starting to be booked again. I noticed Kings of Leon are coming down here in the next few months, but they're an enormous band with they've got literally hundreds of thousands of followers down in Australia. It's they're bankable in that they are. But when it comes to rock and metal, it's the problem is here, mate. Some of the venues went out of business. And it's not as though there's not like as though there's 5 venues to pick from in a city. There's 1 or 2 in a big city like Sydney or Brisbane. So those venues need. I don't even think there's a metal venue in Brisbane anymore. I think it closed down. I could be wrong.
Really?
But I think there's an all-purpose venue, which sucks because it loses that inner city club metal beer-soaked, that ambience that is so essential, I think, for shows like yours to carry the full energy that I think you intend.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing you can hope for if something like that closes down, it wasn't because people weren't going to metal shows, presumably it's because of the pandemic. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, our main sound guy has been doing our sound, for the whole time. He actually was made redundant. He went from being a sound engineer to being an audio visual guy for corporate stuff. And his company basically, everyone was made redundant. There was like 1 or 2 people left, the owners. He was gone for a year, practically a year, in furlough and then redundant. And then they sold the company to some rich dudes, and now he's hiring everyone back because obviously there's going to be people who have done well or people who've done even better during the pandemic. And they can then come back on the other side and reopen stuff or buy stuff and reopen it. So, hopefully that's what you get.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, no, true. So, well, I'd love to see you guys down here. Good luck with everything. Congratulations on the success you've achieved so far. And, mate, just for doing it, being a working musician when you could have shuffled off to an office job somewhere and climbed the bullshit corporate ladder, you've decided not to do that. You're playing the rock and metal, and I've said it so many times. It's so important that you do keep doing this. It's important for people's mental health that they hear your music, and
I think that is actually a quite a poignant point, really, especially with this album, as you say, just because of the whole pandemic and everything, and the singers especially, to give them credit, put everything out on there on the into the ether with the lyrics and everything. Is some of it's quite hard to listen to. And some of the comments that we've had back and some of the reactions and some of the messages, like, they bring you to tears reading them because it's like so you've gone straight into their veins really with what you're saying.
For sure.
And people are really responded. And as you say, it's mental health, big thing at the minute, and big thing to worry about at the minute. And I think the album hopefully will help a few people. I mean, I said to my mum and my dad, a long time ago, however much money we make out of this stuff, whatever, if I send you the messages that people send to us, you see that you've managed to make a difference to someone's life, a positive difference, or like save someone's life or whatever, because they listened to some songs that made them feel better, then you got to be doing something right. And that's the best thing you can ask for, really.
Yep. In the absence of everything else, you got that to hold on to, and it's an extremely worthy thing to to feel some sense of accomplishment and pride through. So look, yeah, as I say, brother, congratulations on just being able to do it, with the album Loss here. I hope it goes even further for you guys. So no doubt we'll have an opportunity to chat on the next album or tour run.
Yeah, thanks so much. I hope we see you in Australia sometime in the near future.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Yeah. All right, thanks very much, brother. Appreciate the chat.
Take care.
All right, you too. Catch ya.
You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. Thanks so much for tuning in. The interview subject you just listened to is from a group called Devil Sold His Soul. He's the bassist and his name, Jozef Norocky. Thanks so much for tuning in.